finding the job was actually very, very trickish. A lot of pilots, the mistake they make is that they believe when you come into
Okay,
Nigeria.
good day, guys, and welcome to another edition of How to Find Your First Job on Princess Anu TV, of course. And if you're new here, anyways, we talk about aviation, motivation, and adventure. And today we have a guest in the house. We have a pilot that has been on the field for over 6 years. We're already telling you what's going on. Anyways, we have a guest in the house, and he's going to be telling us how he found his first job, how you can go about finding your job, especially in a country like this, like ours, like you know how it goes. So, stay tuned, guys, and enjoy this whole episode.
You get the mic.
I can hear the mic. Oh my god, you don't have a mic in your house.
I do, but
Okay, so welcome to the edition of How to Get Your First Job. Like, I'm seriously happy to have you on board.
I'm grateful to finally talk to you after all these long chats and watching your lovely videos.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, we are going to
You're
be starting
welcome.
immediately because we have like, oh man, I'm seeing a lot of questions. People sending in their questions, and I'm like, can we really finish this thing today? But we'll start from somewhere. I hope to.
We'll finish today by God's grace.
Amen. You should. Okay,
Yeah.
you're going to be telling us about yourself, your name, your state, and your call sign. Now you're going to use your call sign.
Okay. My name is Peter Ejenavi. I'm from Delta State,
Okay.
and my call sign is also my three names, which is Papa Eko Tango, Peters Ejenavi Temilolua.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. That sounds cool, like really cool. It's nice having a pilot in the
Thank you.
house. Like, seriously, we've been awaiting this
Wow.
moment for so long.
We
So,
thank God
how
for life.
long
We
have
thank
you
God
been
for
working as an airline pilot? How long have you been working?
life. I've been working for roughly, let's say now it's going to be making it 6 years.
Whoa, 6 years.
Yes, I started working November 2014 till date.
Okay, wow, wow, wow. 6 years. That's not beans.
It's not been so.
It's not
I've been
at all.
through all the whole wahala of flying in Nigeria and everything. But with that,
Oh. Okay, so what was your inspiration to actually become a pilot? What inspired you?
my uncle actually inspired me to be a pilot. He
Hmm.
used to fly for Nigerian Airways. It was the second batch of the Nigerian Airways pilots,
Wow.
and I just love this model of operating both on and off the field. Being a pilot is a way of like shaping your life. You're always on this routine kind of basis. So I just love the way his whole character was, and I just decided to, you know what, I think I would like to be this kind of a person, and I just copied him in one way.
Not bad at all. So, what flight school did you attend?
I went to the flight of Gwinnett in the US.
Okay, okay. So, how long?
It's
How
in
long was the
Georgia.
training like?
Well, for me, the training was about 2 years.
Okay, and you finished exactly 2 years.
I finished exactly, well, let's say 3 days, but let's say 2 years. 3 days before the 2 years.
But were there people that also entered with you the same time you entered and didn't have the opportunity to like finish around the time you were finishing?
Yes, a lot.
So what were their reasons? Could it be money? Could it be they dropped out? Why did they drop out?
They didn't drop out. Like I know of two guys that dropped out, but mostly it takes longer in the US to finish. You have to be very, very careful because most of the flights go in the US want to rip you off.
Hmm.
And then the instructors want to use it to build time too.
Okay.
So a lot of them, apart from the money parts, because when I was training, it was when this what's it called, the dollar naira issue started coming up. So it was difficult to send money from Nigeria to the US at
Hmm.
that time. So there was delay in the flight time, and then we had weather, a lot of weather, lots of low fogs in Georgia, and the school, they prefer to just take your money, which is something you have to be very, very, very cautious about. You have to know your rules, especially the FAR. You have to read it from the top to the bottom so that you can always use different ways of cutting costs. Like, for
Hmm.
instance, in the US, most flight school will tell you that you are not allowed to fly like two pilots that are trained to fly together. But under the FAR, a private pilot can fly with another private pilot that has instrument rating, as long
Hmm.
as one of them is under the hood.
Okay. So it's like going to be flying as a safety pilot with the other person.
Exactly. So one person is gonna like log in as a safety pilot and the two of you can actually share PIC
Uh,
time.
wow. PIC time.
Yes,
Wow. Wow. Wow.
but technically someone has to be under the hood.
Okay. Okay. So how did you find your first job? When you finished training, did you come back to Nigeria or you stayed in the US to find a job? Or anyways, just tell us, how did you find the first job?
Well, I came back to Nigeria immediately because my visa was about to expire. I had just 5 days left, so I came back to Nigeria 3 days after my training.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then finding the job was actually very, very trickish. A lot of pilots, the mistake they make is that they believe when you come into Nigeria immediately, you just go and apply for the company, and then the company just hires you, which is almost like never. Most of the time, most companies in Nigeria require you to have like a type rating before you come in.
Okay.
Yeah, so and then I applied for um, Arik, Airpiece, and the rest, but there was a lot of waiting line for them. So I went into private, which I flew. I actually did the same. I came back and then I did part 6155, whereby I have to do one takeoff and landing. Is mandatory by the FAR before you can get your SIC on the airplane.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So you just did because of how because of the people, the amount of persons that were looking at the airline, so you just decided not to be on that waiting list. That's why you switched to the private part.
They actually the waiting list is very, very long. Oh.
Mm.
I actually have a friend that actually had to wait 1 year before he could get a job because Airpiece, they were short of training pilots, training captains. I mean,
Okay. Wow, wow,
so that's
wow.
that's another thing. It's very, very dynamic. But the thing about private is that once you have your ratings, it's easier for you to just pair with a company or pair with a captain. And most of the captains are training captains. They have captains from the airlines that go to fly private. So there's like this ladder that you can easily jump.
Okay. Hmm. So, in the terms of these ratings now, because a lot of people are thinking about it that, okay, if I'm done, what is the best rating to get? Because most of the airlines, they fly 737, and you're thinking, okay, is it 737 I should get? What kind of rating should I actually get?
Well, it actually it depends on what you want actually, because aviation is a market, and you
Hmm.
have to be very, very how will I put it? You have to be very, very smart about it. Like for instance, when I came back out of school, there were a lot of 737 pilots. They did 737 classic, and Arik was only hiring 737 NG,
NG.
and you have to go and train at CAE London.
Hmm.
Because if you go to Panam, is it Panam or Pana? Yeah, Pana, is it Pan Academy in the US? It costs $9,000 to get a 737 Classic. But if you
Wow.
go to CAE in London, it's going to cost you 24,000 euros
Hmm.
to get the same 737, but it will be NG rating. So it's tricky.
Yeah, the money
But
that you're going to use to
yes,
get the NG now, you just decide to
yes.
go get the classic instead and come back to it, which you're not,
So
which
what?
the job opportunity is not even available
It's
for
not
the.
available exactly.
So, what rating did you now decide to get for yourself?
I got the Oka HS125. It went
Okay.
for about $19,000 US.
Wow. Oh, wow.
But immediately when I but immediately I got back, I got a job.
So it's that means you had looked at the airlines, or you had looked at the kind of companies you want to work with, and you now like, okay,
Yes.
these people have. Wow. So that's I think that's best, because instead of just waiting, it's better for you to scout. So now let me not get too, because this is a pilot one, so we are not trying to like follow books and everything. Like, I'm just trying to flow with you. If I flow with you, I will spend 1 hour here not treating people's questions. Okay.
Okay, no
Let me try
problem.
to follow the books. Now, did you go there to actually apply, or you sent it online, or somebody told you about it, or somebody recommended you? How did you go about it?
Nigeria now, there's no way you can apply anything online and get results. You have
Hmm.
to actually be
Go
there, be at
there.
the airport, go to the airport, be a nuisance at the airport, sit down there, make friends with all the pilots that you see coming out, collect their contacts, and you just have to be your own salesman.
Hmm.
You can't just drop, because one thing I notice immediately I go back to Nigeria is that Nigeria as a whole are looking for ready-made pilots.
Hmm.
Nobody's ready to like just get a pilot that they have to now send for training after 2 months, after 3 months. He needs to do this, he needs to do that. So you actually have to be ready. If you have a rating, go to the airport, put it out. Hey, I'm rated on this airplane. I have this so and so validation left. I have this one left. I have that one left. You have to just market yourself, because that's what I
Hmm.
actually did. I would just go to the airport, meet with pilot guys, and like, let me just jump sit with you guys. I'll wear my uniform and come. And
Hmm.
then, from there, you meet with the captains. From there, you meet with the company executives. From there, before you know it, you're just like, we need a pilot. We need someone that is rated to do a flight to Abuja real quick. And then you have the rating and you're already there at the airport, and they pick you up and then you go. Before you know it, voila, you got a job.
Wow. Wow, like this is wow. Because people, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes when you tell people these things you're saying now, they're like, no, 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 you don't have to be disturbing anybody. You just have to take it easy. Because this approach you're giving us now, it's like go get it approach. Nobody is going to bring it to your house. You cannot stay there and wait for anything.
Of course, now it's a market. You're not the only one that is a pilot in Nigeria.
Hmm.
You have to compete with even pilots that are already rated and have hours.
Wow. It's
That's
well.
that that's one thing. It is. It is.
Oh, it's really
But there's a
well,
market. The thing is
seriously.
that there's a market. There's actually a market. There's a market for it. So what it's now up to you, because I've had friends that actually stayed at home because they want to get Epis or get Arik or get Medview
Hmm.
or get Dana. While when I got my rating on the HS125, I got a job in 3 months, and I started flying. And then 2 years down the road, they are still waiting.
Hmm. Hmm.
The thing as pilots, what I would recommend is you have to be fluid. Just because you're flying one machine or flying one airplane does not mean that you cannot fly another one or fly two more or fly three more. Because currently now I have two ratings. I'm rated on the H125, and then I'm also rated on the Challenger 605.
Wow.
I actually got the Challenger 605. The company paid for my training because I had an HS125 and I had hours on it.
Hmm.
And now, by God's grace, I want to go on the Global Express. By God's grace.
Wow, wow, wow. You're really taking it all. Like you're taking
Yeah,
it
you have to hustle now.
all. So how often do you go to work? Because I'm sure a lot of persons, not only people that are in aviation, a lot of persons outside aviation, they are scared that, okay, maybe if I marry a pilot, the person is not going to have time, or maybe if I become a pilot, I'm not going to have time and all that. So how often do you go to work? Obviously, we know there are rest periods, but people don't understand this. So maybe you should explain better rest periods, off and on, and all that.
Well, for me, currently, my schedule just changed. So I will talk about my former schedule and then briefly about the schedule I'm working with now. You go to work every day,
Mm.
but for the private part, you go to work when you have work, which means that you are mostly on standby. And then I have a roster which is 2.5 months on and 3 weeks off.
Mm.
So
Mm.
for 2.5 months, you are going to be on standby. It does not mean that you're going to fly like every day, every day, every day, every day. There are rules to obey whereby you can't fly more than. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do a trip whereby do 14 hours, 13 hours day, and then you have to then take about, I think, 8 to 10 hours sleep time and the rest.
Mm.
So, but once you are off for 3 weeks, you are off for 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's the roster I am on about before, I think, before the coronavirus thing. So right now I do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Okay. Well, that's
That's what I
that's
do
cool
now.
because having 3 weeks and or 2 weeks to just you allocate your time to other things that you like hope
Of
to
course.
achieve. Hmm.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, what has been the most difficult part flying? In the industry, what has been the most difficult part for you?
Well, the most difficult part flying in this industry is, let me see, it's the Nigerian factor. Number
Hmm.
one, you know, flying for commercial is different from flying for private.
Sure.
You can carry the boss and says, okay, we have a meeting in Abuja. I have to be in Abuja at 8 o'clock. You get to the airport 7 o'clock. You get your fuel, you get everything, and then the boss doesn't show up until 10.
Mm.
So that's one part of it. And then you have to be fluid. Being a pilot, you have to be fluid. It's just like when you plan your cross country. You can just wake up one day and like, I've not been to this airport, and then you have to plan for it. It's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's the same thing as flying in private. During the commercial operations, you have okay, we go to Abuja, we go to Port Harcourt, we go to Owerri, we come back to Lagos, and then we do probably Kano and back. But also you have to put in factors of weather, because Nigeria is a rainforest. Uh, and then you have to actually plan according to it. Sometimes you have delay, customer delay, baggage delay, like the Nigerian factor, and then the factor of God too plays a big role. So you have to be very, very fluid with it, and which is challenging. Coming from the US, coming into Nigeria, everything is like pam 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 pam. But when you get here, things
You
can
begin
things
to
can
press
change.
break.
Yeah, you press a lot of brake.
As in, okay, so what made you outstanding in the selection process? Were you the only one that came at that time to that company to apply? Or could it be okay just because of your rating? But what made you outstanding when you went to to the company you're currently working with?
Well, I think the only thing that made me outstanding, because to be very, very honest, uh, all pilots are actually, we put in our best to get the results. We are all, competent. But I
Hmm.
think what made me outstanding was I was the right person at the right place at the right time.
Hmm. Word.
I think that I just think that was it
This
because
is word.
we, because actually I got the job in January and I didn't start flying until March.
Hmm.
There was like an opening, and then you know I got in, and then okay, we need you, we need you, we need you. They'll give you a contract, you sign the contract, and then you sit at home not getting salary for 3 months, and then all of a sudden they'll just call you one day. Hey, come, 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 come. We have a flight now, 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 now. And then I should say I'm at one of my friends' wedding. I'm out of town. You just call
Ah,
somebody else and another person gets the job.
sure, sure.
So that's the fluid part of it. And then most of the companies, they're actually looking for people that are fluid. They don't want a rigid person, someone that can't bend. You have to be someone that's okay. You can how will I put it? You can actually like you're someone that they can depend on
Hmm.
because as pilots, sometimes we get cocky. When you wear your bars, you wear your shiny Ray-Ban and white starched uniform with polished shoes, riding a Mercedes, cruising around town, and then they call you for a flight, or you have that's what they look for. They look for people that they can depend on and they can actually trust to carry out the operation and do everything at the best judgment and be safe at the same time too.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not saying that you have to be like, just waiting just put your phone on. When you wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning, you just carry your uniform, you're already there waiting for your flight. No, it's just, you have to be able to adapt to the Nigerian
System and how everything goes. Hmm.
yes, yes.
Wow.
So I don't know if the company thought I was special, but well, I got the job. I don't know what I did right, but I thank God for grace.
You please the gods. And so,
Abio. Yes,
so how
sir.
was your first day at work? Like they just called you, you came, you dressed up and everything. How's your first day? How did you feel?
It was a mixed feeling. I was happy, and at the same time, I was also scared.
Hmm.
It was a mixed feeling, actually. You just show up at the airport that you don't know, and then you're sitting on the right seat with zero experience in Nigeria, and you're going to Abuja, and it's a different experience actually. There was no like compared to the airlines. You go through all the ground school, you go through the SOP, you have a check pilot, you have a check this, check captain, you go through like a series of steps to get to that level. But in the
Hmm.
private, you are going there, you are doing it. I know you're training Nigeria, and for one fact, the radio work in Nigeria is, I won't say horrible, but it's challenging.
Let the controllers not
I
hear you
they could not hear me.
because they'll be on your
It-
matter.
it's funny enough. When I fly with white guys that come into Nigeria, they prefer to fly and give me the radio work
Hmm.
because to them, in the US system called flight following, whereby you're flying, they hand you over to the next controller. Just say contact like Kano on 1285, contact
Mm.
Abuja on the frequency. You understand.
Yeah.
So, but in Nigeria, every controller you meet, you have to recite the whole
You
times table
have to
to
read
them.
back
Yeah,
everything from the
everything.
beginning.
And that's one thing, because especially when you're going from Lagos to Akwa Ibom, you have to talk to at least four controllers. You talk to Lagos, you talk to Port Harcourt, you talk to Calabar, then you now talk to Akwa Ibom.
Mm.
It can be trickish. It's something that you learn, but once you know it, eh, you get used to it. You just get used to it naturally.
Mm.
So the
But some
first day
of
on the
us,
job, I was sweating. I was
ah,
sweating. I was writing everything down, estimates, writing down endurance, flight level, squawk. It was just, I was all over the place. But the captain was very, very, very experienced, and he was like, calm down, don't worry. Take your time, you'll get it. With time, you get it.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So when did you like now finally relax that you felt okay, you're confident enough, you can do this for every time they call you? Like how long did it take?
um, the thing about that, if I say my own, it took me about 2 weeks to
Okay.
get it. But it depends on everybody. It depends
Mm.
on individual. So I won't really put, mine was 2 weeks, but 2 weeks is not like the ultimate time that if you don't get it after 2 weeks, you have it you have a tough time.
Mm,
The, the
okay.
the the thing is, at your own pace, you will get it. Eventually, you will get it, because it's
True.
not rocket science. Because when you do something every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, every day, you would eventually get it. And flying in Nigeria is actually simple, but you just have to just understand the whole ritual and the whole um, process around it.
Mm. So you didn't have to like build flight time anywhere before you could
Now,
like come in, because people always ask me that question of, are we going to build flight time somewhere, and that can they actually employ you with your 250 hours? So please, can you help us with that?
with it's a yes and no answer, because so what I say is a no answer is most company hire you based on multi-engine time.
Hmm.
So if you're gonna fly a Cessna 152 and have 4,000 hours on the machine, and then you come to fly like a HS125, you're still gonna face the same problem that a 250-hour pilot faces. You understand that
Yeah.
you might just get over there faster. You might just
Hmm.
be faster about adapting, but you still face the same challenges. But then the
Hmm.
yes part is that it's just like you being in an airplane as a passenger, and then you hear the pilot that is flying you is a new guy on the machine. You won't really feel comfortable.
True.
So that's
Apart
just the
from that, then
whole
also some
it.
colleagues that you fly with and you're like, this guy, we need to be looking at everything. Oh. There were times I flew with my instructor and he was always like, you'll be looking at the power setting, be making sure the person is not touching the mixture. Because if
Yeah,
you close that mixture,
if you
everybody's
got
going down.
overlay, if you overlay the mixture.
Exactly. But it gets to a point where they become confident in us, like, okay, they feel that no, she can do it, he can do it, and all that. So, this brings me to another question. Like, why did you hear of NCAT before you went, or NCAT, IAC, and all that? Why did you decide to like go to the US to do your training?
Actually, I've heard of NCATs, and then when I actually applied to the flight school in Ilorin, the International
Aviation
Aviation
College.
College in Ilorin, I was part of the first batch. I applied. I actually got admission into that particular batch at the school. So my mom spoke with a friend of ours in the US, And then he said that, you know what, I think the best thing to do is just come to the US. I think the US should be better than Nigeria. I don't know about that one, but you know, I just end up, there.
Okay, so it wasn't a case of, okay, maybe these people are not giving standard. Let's go get standard
No, no,
somewhere
no, no,
else.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Because actually, the planes in Lawrence is actually better than the planes I flew with. I flew the Cessna 172 and the Cessna 152, while the planes in Lawrence was actually Diamonds, and Diamonds had GPS. This
Diamonds are
one was
better.
VOR. This one was just VOR and NDB.
Hmm. I can't imagine. Though we still fly NDB. We still fly NDB in the NCAT anyways.
I don't know how to fly that thing. No, I don't.
We fly NDB in NCAT. Okay, so another question I have for you here is, now you see we don't have a lot of females. I've asked this question, some females have been asking on the community chat, and we don't have a lot of females in the industry. So what do you think? Like when you see female pilots and all that, do you think they have to prove themselves in a certain way to be able to tell the persons that they actually know what they're doing?
No, you don't
Okay.
have to prove yourself to anybody. The most important thing in aviation is you have to be competent and you have to be safe, which you females are much more safe than we guys. And with people like you and other female pilots, it's revolving. It's just like every other industry. It's the male that usually starts it, and then the female come on board, and then I don't it's just like, okay, I'm a guy, I can't fly, and you're a pilot and you're capable. Will I say because you're a female I should go and sit down in the cockpit and fly the airplane?
Sure, sure.
So it's you to first of all, the self-esteem has to be very high. You have to know your books. You have to know your capacity, and the safety part of it is that if you can't do something, please
Uh,
don't do it.
mm, mm.
It's not every day that you are in the right set of mind to fly,
True,
but
I
it will
agree.
be very dangerous of you to just force yourself because the guys are doing it. The Every other person in the company is doing it. Then you have to just do it. No, you
Mm.
have to actually be in the right uh,
State of mind.
heart frame and state of mind to actually execute the mission in front of you.
Mm. So maybe I should ask another question about, are there days you didn't feel like flying but you had to go fly? Because I've had days
Of
like
course.
that. There are some days you just need that hours. You need to move. So it's not every day we are in the right state of mind. So tell
Of
us.
course, there are many days like that now. So at some point, apart from the passion, it becomes a job at some point.
Mm,
You might have an occasion that you have to be at, and then a flight then shows up, and then you can't go anymore.
sure.
Just drag your bag and drag your head and just be shaking it and be going to the airport without smiling to anybody. But you just have to do it.
Okay, so what was your mindset before you left aviation school about getting a job? Because I know that obviously your mindset played out a lot in coming to Nigeria to like find a job. If not, you would have decided,
Yes.
okay, you would have stayed in the US or something. So what was your mindset? What did you think while coming to Nigeria? Because a lot of persons are like, I'm going to train and I'm not going to come to Nigeria because there's no job. Everybody, you see pilots, they've been there and all that. So what was your mindset like?
Well, the mindset was that when you get to Nigeria, you just get a job immediately. That Nigeria is looking for a lot of pilots, and then the job is just waiting for you. You just jump into the airplane, and then you're flying over the whole world. That's the mindset. But and then when I go back to Nigeria, like, you know what, Omo, this thing is not it's not a joking stuff. Oh,
You saw
you
the
have to
reality.
Yeah, it's like everywhere. Like, they'll tell you that doctors, there's job everywhere for doctors, and then you get to the hospital say they're not looking for anybody. That you don't even know anything. No, one of the intimidating things that when I got a job, one of the intimidating things I actually faced was you get into the airplane, you just got out of flight school, you read the books, you read everything back and front. You are looking like, okay, well, I'll get a hang of it. And then you get into the airplane, fly with the guys are pressing buttons, and then the speed at which is pressing the buttons, you've never finished your own checklist, and
True.
it's already moving.
True.
So, you know, no, and then coming from a flight school of 250 hours, you think that you know everything. You don't know anything. No, you don't know anything.
Hmm.
With 250 hours, you don't know anything. You have to just learn. You have to be ready to learn. You have to be very, 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 very ready to learn, because if you're not a learning person, you can never be a pilot. You can never. Even if you have all your ratings, even if you have all your certificates and everything, if you're not learning every single day, you just can't. The way in Nigeria changes every day. Sometimes you read in the morning, sometimes you're reading at night, sometimes you're reading during the day. So you have to keep on learning the pattern.
You
And
don't
then
like
the
the rain
pattern
at all
is
in
to
Nigeria.
uh, I'll tell you the honest fact about it. Rain is good, thunderstorm is bad.
Hmm.
And sometimes you have to fly through or through the thunderstorm. For flight schools, you don't need to do it.
Hmm.
But when you're in the real job, you will fly through thunderstorms. If I going to Port Harcourt, going into Calabar, that rains every single day, going into Akwa Ibom, you just can't avoid them, but you have to respect them.
Wow. Wow. I'm really learning a lot. Like I'm learning so much today. So much. Okay,
I'm still
so
learning myself.
I mean, we are all learning.
I'm
No,
still
but I'm
learning
learning
too.
so much from you from this interview today. So, who are your mentors? Who are the persons you look up to in the industry?
Um, I don't know. Well, I look up to all the captains that I've flown with. I don't know if they want me to mention their names, but for their privacy and whatever, I won't mention their names.
Mm,
But everybody that has, helped me in a way in the industry, pilots to the dispatchers to the air hostess, because the air hostess sometimes, they know you're a new guy on the machine, and then they help you, they make you feel much more comfortable.
mm,
So the ground staffs, I actually say of them as my mentors, because a lot of them, flying is big. It's not just being in the cockpit, pressing button, flying, and snapping us some pictures. It's the people you work with, and if the area you're working with, or if the people you're working with is not conducive, you can never grow.
mm.
So the days whereby you fly with passengers on board, and then you just have one of the worst landings in the whole world, and then you feel sad, you just you're moody, and then you have like 5 more landings to go, your self-esteem is down, and then the air hostess can just come and be that, we've seen worse, don't you have more in future, just keep on getting better, or just get over it. Those kind of things
Hi.
can just boost your
I can't
confidence, and
imagine like
then
having one serious bad landing and you're thinking in your mind, like,
actually
what
I've
are
been
the other
landing.
people thinking about me? Like, what are they thinking? What are they thinking?
If I tell you that actually last year I actually had one crazy landing. I have over 1,000 hours on the machine, and I had one of the terrible landings in the whole world.
Forgive my
The the,
laughter.
the, the plane bounced 3 times on the runway. To tell you,
Whoa! That was a kangaroo.
and then the captain, when I landed inside, when I was going, I was like, I messed up. Like, we didn't die. I was like, okay. you know, those kind of things like boost your, they help you just, wave off a bad day because you always have a bad day, but,
Hmm.
it's how the people around, some captains are like, you know what, don't touch this airplane again. You have to, for the next 6 7 landings, just be raising up the gear and be dropping the flaps. But
Hmm.
the next, when I landed like that, the next, we're coming back to Lagos, he said, hey, you're flying, if you land bad, you owe me a bottle of wine.
Wow.
you know
That's better than like grounding you from not landing. You just do the comms and everything. That's
yeah, you
mm,
feel bad about yourself, and then you start having self-esteem problems and things like
yeah.
that.
Wow.
So they're all my
Flying is
mentors.
really interesting. Seriously, it's
It
even
is.
more than
you know
interesting.
everything about the thing is that you might you can land 6 times to be in different ways. The wind
No two
direction,
landings are
the
the
wind
same.
speed, yeah, the wind speed, the gust factor, your own mental states, the state of the airplane. Is it heavy? Is it light? There are different factors into it.
Hmm.
Sometimes you might just not be in a great mood.
True, true. It's well. It's well. It's well.
It is so. It is the industry we find ourselves in
I've
every day.
seen. So, what's your
Yes,
advice
so
for aspiring pilots, especially at this time? A lot of persons have been talking about the fact that okay, with this issue, is this still the best time? Well, for me, I always say it's the best time. But like, what do you think with what's going on around the world, with how things are changing? Do you think it's still the best time to do flying? That's one aspect. The second aspect is generally, what's your advice for aspiring pilots?
if you have the money, fly.
Mm,
That's the best advice. You know, it's a diverse topic. There's no best time to do anything. There's always a worst time to do everything.
mm,
So it's always up to you. If you think we're in the worst time in humanity, the worst time just started. That's the truth. You have to make up your mind. I know the thing about flying is you're never done. You're never done flying. You're just never done flying.
mm,
You think, okay, I have the money, I have this, I have that, and then you get to flight school, and then you find out that it's a whole different ball game. A lot of guys, I actually had that thing too when I initially started flying in the US. I've never been in an airplane before. My first flight was from Nigeria to the US to go and fly. So I had this, like, getting into, watching all these American movies, 737, you'll be flying, just cruising with nice shirts, all the air hostess will just be following you at the back, having plenty girlfriends and all the rest. But then when you get to flight school, it's true, you know, and then you get to flight school and then they put you inside la balaba, any small thing like this. Any small thing like this, you're bouncing everywhere. Small breeze have blow like this. The plane is shaking up, and then you start, you start feeling jetty, and you just get scared and like, thinking things. Is this the right job for me? Have I not made any mistake? You
mm,
have to actually think for yourself. Is this what I want to do? Not because piloting pays, or the job is a sweet job to do, because at the end of the day, it's going to still be a job. Every passion end up to be a job. And
mm.
then if you get into flying that, okay, I'm flying for passion, those days are gone. It's bullshit. Don't just go to fly because of it's just I love to fly, I want to fly 7 days a week, 365 days. No, at the end of the day, a lot of companies might take advantage of the fact that it's your passion. because they take advantage a lot. So it's going to be up to you. You have to look at the your own life goals in terms of coming into the industry. If you're someone that like to party a lot or like to spend time with family a lot, there are sacrifices that has to be made. If you go to parties every Owambe, you are there. Sometimes you work weekends, because I've had days whereby for about a year, my off days was Mondays and Tuesdays, which on Monday morning, if I have a bottle of beer, drinking beer, and your neighbors start looking at you and start saying that you are irresponsible, but that's my own weekend, so you have to be ready to compromise with the job if you are actually getting into the job, and you have to be ready to face it.
Hmm.
Look,
Hmm.
just look at the bigger picture. Actually, look at the bigger picture. If it's not for you, quit. You can always quit at every point, but you can always start at every point too. So it's
Wow.
up to you. Yeah.
Just like you said, you need to
No, it's
also
every it's
know
it's
that.
every profession. It's every
Mm,
profession. It's not just flying.
mm,
It's not just flying. It's every profession. Just look at every aspect of everything. Every aspect of everything. If there's something, just like me, I was supposed to be a doctor, but I ate blood. So, you know, that's just it. That's just it.
mm. Okay, the last question that we have for you today, which a lot of people have issues with, and that's part of why they are not yet in flight schools and all that, is funding.
Mhm.
Do you think there are international funding schemes or even local, like Nigerian funding schemes, that can actually pay for flight training for persons, especially for the fact that it's this expensive? Are there any international bodies that you know about, or maybe local bodies?
Mm, I am not very experienced with that field, but one thing I know is I know of a friend of mine that actually got a loan from the bank to
Okay.
finance his flight school, and then I hear of people whereby they say that their state government or local government, fund them.
Mm,
And then for the international bodies, I really don't know much, but I know of some that, like in the US, if you're a citizen of the US, you can get sponsored by the military, or you can get sponsored by, the Red Cross, YMCA, and other bodies like that. It's going to be up to you. There's not like this one place to just get money.
mm,
You just have to look for it. You have to look for it. I got sponsored by a private individual, which I'm grateful for. And you have to just source for your funds. And the thing about flying is that you even if you don't have the funds immediately, thing is just to start. You might get your PPL, look for
mm,
funds, and continue. Don't just say until when I have all the whole money together and then
mm.
I go and fly. You understand? Sometimes you might even. I know of a friend actually that she was an air hostess. She was an air hostess. Now she's a pilot. Now she's in Texas. She was an air hostess. Then she had money for her PPL, and then her boss like she meant to me like, I want to be a pilot. I have this much money, and then I don't know how to get more. And then the guy paid for everything, and he told her that her PPL money she should use it for feeding.
Wow. Wow.
You have to just look for the funds. There's money all around you. It's just for you to look for how to get it.
Hmm. Hmm. I like that word. There's money all around. Let's see. There's the money.
Yeah.
There's the money. There. There.
You need to give me YouTube money. Oh.
And yes, guys, I forgot to say he also has a YouTube channel where he does a lot of cooking. Come on, if you like food like me, you need to check
Yes,
out that
so.
channel. He does a lot of grilling, nice stuff. And seriously, you're going to really enjoy a lot. So if you still have any questions, do well to leave them in the comment section of this video. Thank you so much. I call you Sapita. Permit me to call you that. Anyways,
Uh, Anu, thank you.
no problem. you so much for joining us in this edition. Like, I really appreciate your presence,
Thank
your
you.
time,
Thank you for
every
having me
single
too.
thing. Seriously, don't worry. We know how we do it. We are going to continue our chat, like our talk, where we,
No,
you know how we do it.
no problem at all. It has been
Okay.
a wonderful experience talking to you and
Ah,
everybody out there.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a
So it
wonderful
was
time.